Welcome to another top 5, guys. Today we're gonna look at what are the best performing decks after the last patch. It took a while to Blizz to finally nerf Warlock, but I think they did the job correctly this time. And we are starting to see some slower decks, and mid-range is really thriving too. There are plenty of good decks out there right now, but I will try to pinpoint the cream of the crop, but don't worry if you don't see your favorite deck in the top 5. It was really hard for me to pick only 5 decks right now, but as you probably know by now, I always give you all of the best working archetypes as well, so stick around to the end. For the 5 decks, I'm gonna give you a detailed mulligan guide, its win rates, and if it's worth the craft. So I hope you enjoy the video, and if you do, a like and a subscribe would really help. Now, let's jump into it. The big winner from the last patch seems to be Big Warrior. We've seen this archetype in the past, but never this consistent. The main goal of the deck is to find your Cowardly Grunt and summon some of your big dudes, but also Commencement does the same thing. You're also running Provoke, so you can instantly kill your Cowardly Grunt. And let's not forget, it's also tradable, so you can dig for something else. You have several big targets in here, including the Morgue, the Troublemaker, and Rattlegore as your heavy hitter. We also have a lot of defensive tools with Rancor, Bladestorm, Bulwark is really annoying to deal with, and you have a lot of good single target removal as well. For the matchups, as you can see, you're only gonna have a hard time against Quest Mage, because Quest Mage is basically gonna beat any slow deck. Handbuff Paladin and Libram Paladin might be also problematic, Quest Hand Warlock is still gonna be trouble for you, and also Quest Shaman. Neither of those are too popular right now after nerfs. For the mulligan guide, I'm gonna use a more populated list that doesn't run the big 8 drops, but instead opts for some brawls. Anyway, when you're going first, you're gonna look for some removal, your Outrider's Axe so you can draw a lot, Cowardly Grunt, and if the matchup warrants it, Rancor could be pretty good as well. Athletic Studies can give you some stuff too, and Commencement if you don't feel like you're gonna be too slow with it. When on the coin, Rancor and Bladestorm still pretty good, Minefield pretty decent, Sword and Board, Shield Slam decent, Provoke might be interesting if you have something to provoke with, and again, the Cowardly Grunt seems like a good idea, but I do believe you can also keep Commencement because you can coin it out. Outrider's Axe, I do believe it's still pretty decent. Is the deck worth the craft? Well, it's running only 2 legendaries, but it does have quite a few epics in it too. So it's not too expensive, but it's definitely gonna get the job done for you. It is a little bit too soon to really see if the deck is amazing or not for the long run, but I do believe it is going to be sticking around till the mini set, which is expected actually in early November. Other good warrior decks would be Pirate Warrior with the quest, and it's gonna be a good idea for you to be playing it a little bit more control-y, so you can actually benefit from your quest reward, because a lot of the times that's how you're going to be winning. Even Rush Warrior is doing some kind of a comeback, but I don't believe this is the correct meta for it. Moving on to the next big winner from the patch, Libram Paladin. Libram Paladin really skyrocketed in popularity and in win rate after the patch, and it's actually doing amazing even in top 1000 Legend, which is kind of unusual for a deck like this. We are running the usual Libram package, but we also have the new tradable city tax, the Pandarin, so you can find some different spells for you, and we also have the Alliance Bannerman, which is basically gonna be a staple for any Paladin deck nowadays, because who wouldn't like to draw a card and even buff his hand? Lord Baroth seems to be a staple now for good removal, and especially with Samuro and with the city tax, it's basically a hard board wipe. Or you can even use Lord Baroth with the Broom, and that way you're gonna have a 4-mana board wipe as well. You also have 2 Librams of Justice for removal, Libram of Judgment for the finisher, and also some healing, Varian for good card draw, and a couple of Librams of Hope. Shocking. For the matchups, Aggro Druid might be a little bit too fast for you, Quest Mage is gonna wreck you, and Garrett Rogue is probably gonna get through you as well. But as you can see, everything else is bright green. For the mulligan, when you're going first, you're always gonna want your Eldor Attendant, your Alliance Bannerman, and Knight of the Anointment and Murder make a lot of sense too. If you're already curving out, Eldor Truthseeker is gonna be fine, if you already have a 1-drop Hand of Adal could be good, and also Kero Rome might help you out to get your early stuff. 1 second, Bannerman and Eldor still at the top. The 5-mana Eldor is still pretty keepable as well because you can drop him as soon as turn 4. Kero Rome can be pretty awesome, the Librams of Wisdom become a lot more keepable too, and even Samuro so you can return on the board with a heavy swing. Depending on the matchup, City Tax might be interesting, and also Murder. Should you be crafting this deck? Well, as you can see, it's gonna be quite the price on it, but Libram Paladin has been a top deck for quite a while now, not being part of the top meta decks for only a few seasons. so it might actually not be that bad to craft it. But if you're missing too many legendaries, maybe look for something cheaper. Other than that, we also have Hand Buff Paladin performing really well, Secret Paladin is doing just alright, and basically the rest are iterations of these three archetypes. Hey, look at that Quest Paladin, that's probably gonna be good, right? Yeah. Next up, let's talk about Aggro Druid. Aggro Druid really didn't take any changes after the nerfs and buffs, but it's still performing very well. The deck is very solid, and it has quite a few high rolly combos too. This version is a little more minion heavy, and it's running the peasants cause a lot of classes can't really answer them early, so it's gonna draw you 1 or 2 cards. You also have Argent Squire and Guardian of Merchant, so you have sticky minions, an Oiotron so you can take it out for free with the Razor Man or double it up with the Elune. Same with Bone Chewer and the Pack Mule, and Watchpost can really make some decks struggle too, especially if you double it up with Elune. We also have Park Panther because it's a really nice way for you to control the board with it, Arbor up so you can buff out of control, Greybow which you can get cheaper with your Razor Mane, but you can also even double it up with Elune, as long as you play Elune into Razor Mane which gets doubled, and that way Greybow becomes 1 mana. And same goes for Teacher's Pet, and that way you can do some really crazy high rolls. We also have Composting for a lot of card draw, and the Squirrels help with some tokens too. For the matchups, Fell Demon Hunter is not gonna be great, Quest Hunter removes a lot of your stuff, Mages are not gonna be your friend, Quest Shaman is gonna be hard but you're not gonna see that too much, and also Big Warrior is not gonna be great. For the mulligan, when you're going first, you're gonna want your Peasant, as long as you're not against a Demon Hunter obviously. Razor Mane is always gonna be great, and if you already have that, you can even think about keeping Greybow, especially if the class against you doesn't really have a way to deal with a free health minion as soon as turn 2. Composting is not really something you should be keeping a lot, unless you already have a very fast hand. Oracle of Elune makes a lot of sense most of the time, Bone Chewer and Vibrant Squirrel as well, but the rest are gonna be somewhat situational. When on the coin, Razor Mane's still pretty good, and even Park Panther becomes a lot better because it's a good way for you to get control back. Bone Chewer and Elune, and even an Oiotron still decent, and same goes for Guardian. Peasant, not so amazing because it's probably not gonna stick unless your opponent misses his turn 1 and his hero power doesn't kill it on 2. Vibrant Squirrel, I do believe it's still decent though, and Greybow could be a keep as well in some cases. Is it worth the craft? Well, as you can see it's pretty cheap, so I say go for it. It's doing quite alright, games are pretty fun, and it's definitely gonna get you some wins. Other good Druid decks would be apparently Clown Druid, Anaconda Druid, West Druid is also still a thing somewhat, and we also have some Miracle Druid action, but as you can see those are sub 50%. Now let's check out Deathrattle Demon Hunter, which is also doing pretty well after the patch. There's really not much new stuff in it, aside from a Rooster Viper and the Persistent Peddlers. You're basically running the core Deathrattle Demon Hunter, with some far watch posts and Cult Neophytes to slow down your opponent, and your big finisher are the Death Speaker and your Illidari boys. The matchups are not going to be too great for you against Aggro Druid, Hand Buff and Libram Paladin, and also Elemental Shaman and Quest Shaman. Aside from that, Big Warrior is also going to be a problem, but the rest should be fine. For the mulligan, when you're going first, you're gonna want your Razor Boar, Razor Fen, Dusk Piercer, and if you already have these two, you might keep some other Deathrattle minions too. Skull of Gul'dan, I do believe it's kind of a bait, but if you already have it outcasted on the left and you already have some other good cards, it might be not that bad of a keep. Firewatch Post might also be interesting against some classes. When on the coin, still Razor Boar pretty good, Razor Fen as well, and even Death Speaker becomes a lot more keepable, because a lot of classes can't really do anything against the Death Speaker as soon as turn 6. Skull of Gul'dan, if it's already outcast it might not be a bad idea, and again Firewatch Post, Dusk Piercer, and even Raging Fell Screamer could be decent. This is another pretty cheap deck with only 1 legendary and 2 epics, so if you're short on dust and you enjoy Demon Hunter, definitely go for it. Aside from that, we also have Fell Rattle Demon Hunter, and actually Fell Demon Hunter is doing amazingly well in top 1000 legend too. We have both versions with Zai and with Il'gynoth, and it seems like the Il'gynoth is doing better in top 1000 legend, so if you're up for the challenge, this might be the deck for you instead. Seems like the Quest Demon Hunters are not doing as amazing anymore though. And finally, we still have Quest Mage as a pretty good deck as well. Again, not really much to talk about the deck. The only 2 interesting cards here are the Wand Thieves, which you can use to kill off your own stuff with Brain Freeze for instance, so you can progress with your quest faster. For the matchups, Deathrattle Demon Hunter is not gonna be great for you, and same goes for most Druids too, aside from Aggro, which is the most popular one, so you're probably fine against most Druids too. Hunters are not gonna be great for you, Secret Paladin is gonna be problematic if you don't play well around the secrets, Aggro Shadow Priest is not something you're gonna face too many times, so don't even bother thinking about it too much. Poison Rogue is gonna be insanely bad for you though. And Aggro Elemental Shaman is also gonna be wrecking you, but everything else is fine. For the mulligan, Incanter Slow is always gonna be great for you. When going first, Brain Freeze might be decent, Hot Streak and First Flame as well, so you can progress with the fire spells faster and also remove some stuff. Wand Thief so you can Brain Freeze it, or save the Brain Freeze for something the opponent actually plays, but if he's denying you like that, Wand Thief is the perfect target, so you can progress faster. Primordial Studies seems fine, and Ruined Orb is not too bad because it discovers stuff. When on the coin, again, Brain Freeze, Wand Thief, and even Refreshing Spring Water becomes a lot more keepable because you can coin it as soon as turn 4, and still have 4 mana to boot. Arcane Intellect so you can get your cards faster, and even Fire Sale if you're against the tokeny deck. Yet again, another only 1 legendary and 2 epics deck, so yeah, if you're short on dust, definitely go for it. Other than that, for Mage, it's basically only Quest Mage that's still working. Gotta scroll all the way down to page number 3 to even find some ping mages, but yeah, this is what you could be expecting from those. They're all above 50%, so it's still worth a shot if you're interested in this archetype. That's it for the 5 best decks, now let's check out the classes we didn't mention. Starting off with Hunter. I almost included Face Hunter in this top 5, but since it was apart from the last several ones, I decided to switch it for something else. But yeah, Face Hunter is still pretty good. We also have Quest Hunter, which is doing quite alright as well, but that's about it for Hunter so far. For Priest, as we all expected, after nerfing Elucia like that, Shadow Priest really fell, but it's still doing somewhat decently. Other than that, some people are trying Quest Priest and Control Priest, but so far with no such luck. With Rogue, we have Quest Rogue, Garret Rogue, and Poison Rogue doing pretty well so far, with Poison Rogue being probably the best out of the bunch. But also Garret Rogue can be pretty insane in skilled hands. With Shaman, we have Elemental Shaman doing great, Quest Shaman is still very playable, Aggro Elemental Shaman is doing quite alright, and even Evolve Shaman has quite the win rate too. But all in all, these are the 4 archetypes for Shaman. And with Warlock, Quest Hand Warlock is still doing pretty well as long as you know what you're doing with it. Even though the last nerfs really did hit hard, I still believe this is one of the best decks out there too. But you're just not gonna see that many people play it anymore just because it got nerfed like that. Which is actually a great thing, but I do believe it is gonna return pretty soon, and with a vengeance. And this is what it looks like in Top 1000 Legend 2. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this top 5 helps you pick what deck to play after the patch. Don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching too. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05 and I'll see you in my next video or stream.